Hello and welcome to Time Between Times Storytelling with me, Owen Staton. The sun is glaring outside. The wind is as still as winter. And yet, here we are, at the fire pit, in the heart of the forest. At the time between times, the time it's neither night nor day, but the sun has gone. And the sky is grey, the time when the veil between our world and the fairy world is wafer thin. So thin that for a few moments we can reach into their realm, and for a few moments they can reach into ours. Now is the time that people see lights in the sky. Now is the time that people see fairies. Now is the time that people see ghosts. So forget the glaring sun. Forget the heat and lose yourself for just a few moments in a tide of tales traditionally told. Join me as we journey far from Wales to the forests of Windsor, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. There a great king is hunting stag. He is there with his entourage, his friends, his jesters, his cooks, all there, ready for hunting. But as a great stag walks across a clearing, the king sets up his bow, aims it to his eye, and seeks to bring down that king of the forest. But suddenly the stag turns around and with a thundering roar rushes towards the monarch. Petrified, the king drops his bow and arrow and stands still. But there, one of his entourage, a man called Herne, leaps out in front of him and is gored badly by the charging stag. The stag pins him up against an old oak, and Herne slumps to the ground, mortally wounded. The king's men jump upon the stag and kill it there. The king breathes a sigh of relief and steps forward, a look of pity on his face, for Herne is dying. He holds the man's hand, who looks up to him and says, "My lord, I may have saved your life, but I have a family. I have children, I have a wife, and I always wish to serve you and serve them, and save people from misfortune." As he spoke those final words, a clap of thunder rent the air, and out of the forest strode a man in a black robe, a long grey beard hanging down to his belt. The king's men parted in front of him, for none knew who this person was. The old man came forward, took Herne by the hands, and said, in a voice as old as the mountains and as capricious as the sea, "O brave man, your wish will be granted. O brave man, you will live a life true. O brave man, this forest does need you. O brave man, a spirit that's true." With that, and using strength from beyond the mountains, he snapped the horns, the antlers from the dead stag, and tied them around Herne's head. Immediately his wounds started to heal. Immediately his body started to become unbroken, and he stood up anew. It was said that Herne lived the rest of his life in service of the king, there as a warden of the forest. His wounds healed up and showed no scars, and he died an old man and was buried under the old oak in the centre of the forest. But did he leave there? No, he did not. For many, many hundreds of years, people have always spoken about the spirit in the forest. Many times a man has been seen with antlers in his head, riding a great black horse, sometimes accompanied by braying hounds and filled with chains. Herne the hunter has become the stuff of legends in the forest of Windsor. But strangely enough, he always seems to appear when the country is on the verge of some great upheaval. It was said that in the War of the Roses, he appeared there in the forest before the Battle of Bosworth. Again, in the Civil War, he appeared before the king was caught and captured and taken to prisoner. Again, the night before the Battle of Waterloo, the Wild Hunt rode through Windsor Forest. The eve of the First World War, he was seen blowing his horn there in the centre of the forest. In 1962 was a recorded sighting, when a group of boys at the time between times rushed into the forest and found on the floor a broken huntsman's horn. One of them, feeling brave, put it to his lips and blew as hard as he could. And then, out of the woods, came the sound of stamping feet, came the sound of braying hounds. Out of the woods strode that man with the antlers on his head, the chains around his body, riding the great black horse. It's almost like the trees part in front of him, for they know who is the true lord of the forest. And Herne rode off once more. The boys were petrified, ran home and told their parents, one of whom knew the legend of the Lord of the Woods. He remained silent for a while, but I was looking only recently, and there in that ill-tided year of 2020, there are rumours, whispers on the wind, that Herne was seen once more. Just as the year was beginning, a small snowfall fell, and there, striding through the woods, his horn at his lips, his hounds at his feet, his great antlers stretched to the sky, was the lord of the forest himself, Herne the hunter. I believe we all know what misfortune he wished to prophesy, but there we are, and he has been seen. So that, my friends, is the great tale of Herne the hunter of Windsor Forest, the spirit of the trees himself. Tread carefully when you tread in those woods, for you never know when he will arrive thundering through the forest. No matter what the week brings, my friends, always know you are safe here at the time between times. A time it's neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey. Please like and subscribe these videos. There are over 100 here for you to now enjoy. I also have a podcast, Time Between Times podcast. Please, the numbers there are growing greatly. Share it with your friends and enjoy. And also, check out the new podcast, Spectre of the Sea. There, I am part of a great journey, if you like, with my friend Bethan, as we travel the coast of Wales, seeking the ghosts and spirits that hide there. It's been very well received. Please check out Spectre of the Sea. You can follow me on Twitter at Owen S. Griffiths, and there I am now doing tales on Twitter Spaces, usually on a Sunday night at 9. Join me there for a live tale if you like. Any suggestions you have, write to me at owenstaton@aol.com. And if you really want to support my storytelling, how about you go to Patreon at owenstaton7 on Patreon, and there you can support me as I tell these old traditional tales and keep them alive for future generations. In the meantime, stay safe, my friends. Enjoy, and hope that the great hunter isn't seen this year. I think we've had enough of tumultuous times. No star, my friends.